This is a study on safety and efficacy of UBE decompression for cervical spondylotic radiculopathy. We have no potential conflicts of interest. Cervical spondylotic radiculopathy is a common condition caused by nerve root compression, manifesting as a neuropathic radicular pain. The causative factors being disc degeneration, disc herniation, ankle osteophytes, flavum thickening, OPLL, or facet arthropathy. The presenting symptoms being axial neck pain, radiculopathy with or without myelopathy. While time-tested ACDF has been considered as the gold standard for the management of cervical radiculopathy, but it comes with certain drawbacks such as risk of adjacent segment disease, loss of motion at that segment, approach-related complications such as post-operative dysphagia, esophageal perforation, and injury to the important neurovascular structures, and there are implant-related complications as well. We have observed one case report of expectoration of the fusion cage. TDR has total disc replacement has come as an evolving technique to mitigate certain factors of the ACDFs as it preserves the motion, but it also has certain complications such as ACDF, expulsion of the cage, disc material, approach-related complications, heterotopic ossification, and persistent neck pain. Recently, UBE has emerged as a potential MIS technique with the following benefits. For surgeon, it is better visualization of the field, easy handling of the operating instruments, continuous irrigation, and it is similar to the open surgery and cost effectiveness, as we can use our normal conventional surgery instruments for this surgery. For patients, the scar is small, it is muscle preserving surgery, motion preserving surgery, and early return to the work. The current study aims to evaluate the safety and efficacy of UBE decompression for cervical radiculopathy patients. It was a retrospective single-center study. We included patients who are refractory to the conservative management, single-level pathology, and there should be absence of instability, infection, tumor or previous spinal surgery, and minimum of post-op 6 months of follow-up. The statistical analysis was done with the ANOVA test. We have assessed the measures in the form of surgical time, length of hospital stay, complications, VAS score for the neck and arm pain, and neck disability index. We measured the outcomes at preoperatively 1 month post-op and 6 month post-op. Coming to the demographic data, it is a cohort of 20 patients with majority of patients being males. The most common levels being operated were C5, C6, and 6, 7. The VAS score has improved significantly at 6 months with 92% improvement and 40% improvement for the arm pain and neck pain respectively. Similarly, the neck disability index has also improved with 75% improvement at 6 months post-op. There were no complications recorded in the study cohort. This is an interesting case of a 74-year-old gentleman who presented with minimal neck pain but with acute left upper limb radiculopathy for a period more than 6 weeks. He was associated with pins and needle sensations, weakness and loss of grip strength. There was a sleep disturbance and difficulty in lifting things. The VAS score for the left arm pain was 9/10. On physical examination, the Sperling sign was positive. Left C8 power was reduced, hypoesthesia and left C8 dermatome. There were no UMN signs present. On his MRI, there is a big disc on the left side, paracentral disc at C7 T1 level. On CT scan, there is vacuum phenomena present with facet arthropathy. So someone would have opted for ACDF as it is a degenerated spine, facet arthropathy. There is developing kyphosis proximally and the patient is non-smoker. TDR is not recommended at this level by FDA, but out-of-box thinking by mentor Choi, we opted for UBE decompression. This is patient positioning. Patient is positioned prone with headed elevation to allow for a good venous return, and neck is slightly fixed and secured with the tapes. Level marking is done with 15 gauge spinal needle in AP and lateral projection, and reconfirming the level with the scope and RF probe before proceeding with the laminotomy. The first goal when we enter inside is the identification of the V point. It is the junction of the cranial and caudal lamina with the medial aspect of the facet joint. Meticulous drill work, removal of the ligamentum flavum, and if there is disc herniation, like in this case, you can slightly retract the nerve root with the scope sheath cannula and remove the disc. After assessing the mobility, the nerve root, the surgery is completed and the decompression should be from the pedicle to medial to lateral border. The patient was discharged happily in the same evening. The key points of the surgery were proper positioning, level identification, and reconfirmation of the level, as C6-7 and C7-T1 level are hard to find on the CM positioning due to the soft tissue shadow of the shoulders. Optimizing the blood pressure, the MAP should be less than 90 and heart rate should be less than 70. Water pressure should be measured less than 30 mm of Hg. This we ensured by keeping the saline bag 40 centimeter above the working space. Identifying the V point and meticulous drill work is very important. Use of RF probe to coagulate the epidural vessels minimizes the surgical time and the blood loss. The limitations were it is a small sample size, there was no comparison group and no radiological outcomes. As we were not assessing any fusion in this case, we are just assessing the clinical outcomes. On conclude, UB is a safe and effective surgical treatment option for cervical spondylotic radiculopathy patients with excellent clinical outcomes. These are my references. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Next presenter is Janil Patel. He's presenting prospective study comparing outcomes of ACDF versus posterior endoscopic cervical foraminotomy in the surgical management of compressive unilateral cervical radiculopathy.
Good evening all. As we all have evolved from doing open spine surgeries to minimally invasive to tubular and endoscopic spine surgery, so this study was carried out at a tertiary care hospital to compare the outcomes of anterior cervical discectomy and fusion versus posterior endoscopic cervical foraminotomy. It was a prospective study including 80 patients ranging from 2019 to 2023 operated at a tertiary care hospital by a single surgeon. The age group of patients ranging from 20 to 70 years. The inclusion criteria was age group of 20 to 70 years, failure of conservative trial for 3 months, unilateral cervical radiculopathy due to paracentral disc or any bone spur, 1 or 2 level pathology, and patients without neurodeficit. The exclusion criteria was central disc prolapse, cervical instability, 3 or more level pathology, and previous cervical spine surgery. This is a AP and lateral X-ray showing figure 1 showing the docking at the V point and figure 2 showing patient operated with anchored ACDF cage. The parameters evaluated were cervical levels operated upon, operative time, blood loss, length of hospital stay, intraoperative and post-operative complications, and clinical outcomes were VAS, MACNAB outcome, days until return to work, and ODI scores. These were the results including 80 patients. The pre-op VAS range changed from 7 to 1 in posterior endoscopic foraminotomy group and pre-op VAS from 7 to 2 in ACDF group. MACNAB score reduced to 18.4 and in foraminotomy group and 24.86 for ACDF group. And return to work was 10 days in cases of endoscopic foraminotomy and 22.7 days in ACDF group. Figure 3 showing the nerve decompression after posterior endoscopic foraminotomy and post-operative figure 4 showing post-operative surgical scar after a period of 1 month. We encountered one complication required conversion to ACDF after endoscopic foraminotomy because the symptoms persisted 3 months post-operatively. So to conclude, both ACDF and endoscopic foraminotomy can result in good clinical outcomes in patients of compressive unilateral cervical radiculopathy, but the use of endoscopic foraminotomy can result in better satisfaction, early return to work, and less duration of hospital stay. Thank you.